principal at the University of Michigan, and I am working on hydrodynamic simulation and time-dependent photoionizations modeling of Starburst-driven outflow. In the star-forming galaxy, we have the formation of Starburst-driven outflow, which typically have complex structures, complex temperatures, multi-temperature structures. In this example, in X-ray, we see a presence of hot superwind region, which have temperature of the power of 7s. And infrared image, SPISA image, show the region between 100 and 1000 kelvins, dusty region. Also in the optical, we see some regions with warm region, 10,000 kelvins. And here, you see a schematic view of star-forming regions. And typically, the typical assumptions for superwinds is adiabatic solutions. In these assumptions, which firstly used by Chavir and Kelech, the adiabatic winds decrease by radius as a function of density as a function of power of -2 and temperature as a power of -4/3. However, there is several observations that show there is a suppressed superwind strong coolings, which cannot explain by adiabatic assumptions. There is a model, a semi-analytic model by Silich in 2004. They incorporate radiative cooling functions, and by this radiative cooling function, it shows a departure from adiabatic solution, imply that cooling depends on the ionizings and also metallicity. And in our work also we find cis dependence on mass loading rate and wind velocities. And in the Starburst-driven superwinds, we could have 4 regions. The first regions here you see there is a free expanding wind regions, and after that we have the formation of hot bubble, and then a bit higher density, which is called also shell. And after that there is ambient medium. This is a typical 4 region which we may see in the superwinds regions. And to implement our hydrodynamic simulation, we consider a galactic scale outflow driven by Starburst-driven feedbacks from especially symmetric superstellar cluster characterized by stellar cluster radius and mass loading rate, wind terminal velocity, also the ambient condition, ambient density and temperatures. And also we use ionizing luminosity, which produced by Starburst 99s. And also in this hydrodynamic simulation, it's coupled to radiative cooling function and photoionization, photoheating functions, which built in atomic and chemistry cooling package built by Will Gray. And in this atomic cooling package, they use also ion by ion cooling efficiency from atomic data, and also the heating efficiency calculated using photoionization cross sections, and also SED, which made by Starburst 99s. And by doing this, we did the hydrodynamic simulations. Here you see, in this figure, you see the temperature profile and density profiles for one of this example. In low velocity, you see there is a departure from adiabatic solution shown by dashed lines. And also there is, in these websites, which the link is here, you see there is a bigger grade of simulation. It shows dependence on mass loading rate. Here you see by increasing mass loading rate, we increase coolings. Also by increasing metallicity, we increase coolings. Also we have wind terminal velocity, which by reducing wind terminal velocity, we also increase coolings. And also I made photoionization, which I will talk later during my talk I will present. And here there is an example of with adiabatic bubbles and catastrophic coolings with bubble and catastrophic cooling without bubble. And the dot red lines, they show the adiabatic predictions. And here you see what is the difference and how the radiative cooling departed from the adiabatic coolings. And this difference, which show here, we calculated for free expanding winds. And here in this example, in these plots, I show the regions where there is adiabatic fit bubble, adiabatic pressure confine, adiabatic coolings, and catastrophic cooling with bubbles. And this ratio is a ratio of wind temperature of free expanding wind. It's calculated by hydrodynamic, and it's over the adiabatics predictions. And here we see also, here is in our publication, I presented the more regions, and we see higher mass loading rate and lower wind thermal velocity contribute to a strong cooling in free expanding winds. And also we see metallicity, also increasing metallicity, increase coolings. And for photoionization modelings, we first did photoionization plus Cornish ionizations, and I incorporate both density and temperature profile generated by Mayhems together by ionizing ACD made by Starburst-99s to compute photoionization, which is also, I didn't consider NEI, non-equilibrium ionization, for in the first steps, which produce photoionization plus Cornish ionization. And here is, you see the result of photoionization plus Cornish ionization. On the left, you see temperature profile for one of our example. Also, you see there is on the left panel, there is emissivity, which calculated by photoionization models. And on top, there is pure photoionization without collision ionization effects. And on bottom panel, CPI is collision ionization combined with photoionizations. And here you see what is there is difference between photoionization without collision ionization, photoionization plus collision ionizations. And in the next steps, I incorporate both temperature and density, and also non-equilibrium ionization states, which calculated by our hydrodynamic simulation with flash. And I calculated the emissivity here in the bottom panel is NEI plus PI, and in middle is collision ionization plus photoionization. And as you see, how is the difference between non-equilibrium photoionization and non-equilibrium and equilibrium photoionization plus collision ionizations. And in order to have compare with observations, I calculated for radiative bounded model and density bounded model the luminosity, and this luminosity used to build BPT diagnostic diagrams. And for BPT diagnostic diagrams, I plotted oxygen 3 versus nitrogen 2 and sulfur 2. And as you see, there is a good agreement with the typical region where we have Starburst regions below red line in BPT diagram, the Starburst region, and above red line, there is active galactic regions. And similar to optical BPT diagram, I made also UV diagnostic diagram using the ultraviolet emission lines, which typically observed in a Starburst galaxy. And recently there is some diagnostic diagram they built using these emission lines to separate between active and Starburst galaxy. And in this diagnostic diagram, you see the how is UV lines changed by metallicity and how is different for different model with cooling and catastrophic cooling with bubble. As you see, by increasing metallicity, we reduce oxygen 3, and also we change carbon 4. Other important things are highly ionized doublet oxygen 6, which originate from shock and collision ionization regions. And recently, Will Gray in his paper published in 2019 suggested that it could be a useful diagnostic of catastrophic regions. And I explore how is dependence this line on catastrophic regions. And finally, our future directions is to incorporate radiative transfer calculation to into our hydrodynamic simulation. In our hydrodynamic simulations, the SED reduce as using a simple assumption of R-2. So by calculating opacity, we use this equation and we reduce the SED, and it will be a proper implementation of the radiative cooling and photoionization process. So, but because we have in this the Fourier expanding wind region, we have low density. So our current assumption is correct, but for high density, this assumption is not correct. And here is a concluding remark of my presentations. We have conducted hydrodynamic simulation of Starburst-driven Superwinds using a Mayhem package built on Flash, and to study formation of radiative cooling winds and also formation of hot bubble. And we saw dependence of catastrophic cooling on different wind parameter, ambient density, mass loading rate, and metallicity. And in our paper, which recently published in AppJ, we presented our result for collisionization plus photoionization. And in next paper, which we'll submit soon, there is a combined NEI plus PI, which non-equivalent photoionizations. And we also have plan to incorporate radiative transfer to our hydrodynamic simulation in future, also doing the incorporate radiative dependent SED to our calculation. Okay. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I can answer.
Oh, it was spot on time. Thank you very much. So there is time for a few questions. Anyone in the chat, or just raise your hand. I wasn't clear to me whether when you use Flash, you make it work in spherical coordinates. Generally, because you didn't specify the accuracy or the numerical setup of Flash.
Yeah, we implemented this in Flash, but it's a modified version of Flash. Because in Flash, there is no radiative cooling function, photoheating function. And Will Gray, which is the third author, he incorporated this radiative cooling and photoheating function to Flash. So it's a modified Flash, which he called it Mayhem. So using this modified
Flash.
Okay,
I didn't get that there's no cooling function at all actually. Okay, but what about the grid? Did you use the spherical coordinates?
Spherical coordinates, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mahavir Sharma, you had a question?
Yes, actually. So I was wondering what sort of temperature profiles emerge as a function of radius for superwinds out of this implementation?
The initial temperature profile is the temperature, ambient temperature. But after when we run the hydrodynamic simulations, this you see that right now is ambient temperature is 10 to the power of 4. But after running this simulation, we have the temperature profile which calculated by Flash, and we use this temperature profile in the final temperature profile in our photoionization calculation by Kelody.
Okay, thanks. So I probably missed, but maybe you would have compared with the soft X-ray emission in galaxies, so right?
Yes, I didn't show here, but here you see this bubble here on the orange. This is hot bubble, which is we see an X-ray, but the order before that is a lower temperature, where the temperature is below 10 to the power of 5. It is what we see optical. So that 10 to the power of 7, which what we see in X-ray. So here we didn't do a calculation for emissivity for X-ray, but we did calculation for UV. So here in oxygen 6, we see what we produce by that's temperature.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.